Kia ita, kia ora tātou.
The Honourable Nanaia Mahuta.
What a strange day it is indeed when in Parliament a government minister gets up in this House and quotes Dr. Zeus. Unbelievable. Didn't even make a proper quote. While that type of start to a debate speech requires a response from Bugs Bunny, who said, "That's all, folks," because that's all it's going to take for this government to continue to head on a train track for a crash because it's on the wrong track. And time after time in this term of Parliament, we've seen this government make decisions that are fundamental errors and eroding the confidence of New Zealanders throughout the country. Mining in national parks. Who would have believed, actually everyone believed National would do it, but who would have believed against opposition in many small communities like Coromandel that the government would pursue its desire to mine national parks and cut up the heritage that people believe are really important, like in the Coromandel, trying to put Schedule 4 lands on the block to carve it up, no good. People didn't want it throughout the communities. This is a really important issue to many people in communities like the Coromandel. What did National do? Close its ears. Then we have things like a convention centre funded by more pokies when all the evidence suggests that in disadvantaged small communities, more pokie machines means more problem gambling, and for those most disadvantaged that government purports to make the best interest decisions for. A convention centre funded by pokies? Really? Is that what New Zealand wants? I don't think so. People know that we need a convention centre in Auckland, but not funded by pokies. And for the Prime Minister to kind of imply that this is a preference deal by not ensuring that an open tender process takes place, I think it erodes confidence in the government. The ACC bungle, well, this was a case where one green bottle was followed by another green bottle, followed by another green bottle that kept falling off the shelf. People are leaving the board of ACC because the previous minister had to acknowledge that this was a bungle of epic proportions. Unbelievable. The sale of state-owned assets, again, against a huge, broad mandate of many Kiwis throughout the country, headed by groups like Grey Power, who did not want to see state assets sold. The government continues on its train that is heading for a wreck, because nobody wants to see those state-owned assets sold. There is a petition that's currently going around in many communities that has been signed up in droves to caution the government about this. Well, if that's not enough, now Māori have taken the step of taking through the New Zealand Māori Council, of getting the Waitangi Tribunal to hear the nature of the interest that Māori have in water as a means to further caution the government that it has made a fundamental error. And it's at that point, Mr Speaker, that I think the Māori Party should be held to account. I applaud the speech by the previous speaker who says that Te Reo Māori should be promoted ambitiously throughout this country, but we cannot get away from the fact that the Māori Party is propping up National to continue its program of action that is severely hurting many New Zealanders around the country. The sale of state-owned assets is just one of them. The New Zealand Māori Council is testing the nature of the interests that Māori have in water before the Waitangi Tribunal. The Prime Minister's rubbishing the tribunal process and implicitly rubbishing the leadership of the New Zealand Māori Council, headed by previous Justice Te Jury. Unbelievable. At a time when the government should be considering very carefully the nature of the interests that Māori currently have in water. Mr Speaker, I would argue that actually National needs the Māori Party, and I suspect that the Māori Party won't leave at all. But I heard this morning from a friend who caught a plane from Auckland that there are members of the Māori Party coming down on the plane to join them in the 8 o'clock meeting tonight. And they're trying to ensure that pressure is put on this government no, they won't go. They won't go, and I'll tell you why they won't go. They can't go, and they can't go because they don't want to go. I mean, but the real issue here is that the Māori Party are trying to caution the government to taiho, he kupu Māori tere, taiho, just hold tight on selling state-owned assets because there are too many important issues on the table. I suspect the Māori Party won't go, they should go, but they won't go, and they need to reconsider their coalition deal with National.
The Honourable Simon Bridges.